Today I'm chatting with Richard, a digital marketer at Silent Freeway and a member of our Jam Out AI community. Richard's been in the game helping brands grow through smart, strategic campaigns, and in this conversation, we dig into what's working in his business, where he's running into roadblocks, and what support could really make a difference. Let's dive in.
Cool. All right.
All right, cool. Richard, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm really excited to connect with you, and I from past calls and seeing you post on school, I feel like I have a very brief understanding of what you do, but do you mind just kind of introducing us to you and your brand and telling us a little bit about who you are?
Okay, sure. Thanks, Fleur. Yes. So I run a small digital marketing agency called Silent Freeway, and we focus on SEO, PPC, and local lead generation systems for primarily service businesses, but especially senior care, legal mediation, and multi-location operators. It doesn't really matter their vertical. And our stack, more or less at a high level, again, includes like Google Analytics, Search Console, Tag Manager, SERush, on, Looker Studio, WordPress, and increasingly a lot of AI-driven workflows and automating existing workflows using AI.
Oh, that's a lot. And I love that even though you offer so much, you were able to really niche it down to who you offer it to. That was really cool. And how did you get into this industry?
I guess it was in late 2022. I started playing with GPT-3. And at that time, it was for rewriting ad copy and like meta descriptions and things like that on websites. And I started figuring out pretty quickly I could speed up writing like marketing content just in general and planning the campaigns themselves. And now it's just kind of part of almost everything we do from brainstorming to reporting.
Who is we? It sounds like it's you and a couple teammates or
Yeah, there used to be 23, and I don't know if this is a credit to AI or a blame or whatever, but it's 19, and ideally, I think we could probably get that down a little bit more. We are able to work just better, faster, quicker, and I would say at some point, I almost feel like we're at 80% of the grunt work is done by AI, which for me personally allows me to spend most of my time on client interactions, generating leads, and
yeah.
just QA and micromanaging to some extent.
No, and 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 I know you joined the Jam community kind of recently. But definitely in the beginning when all of this AI kind of like blew up into the world, something that I really appreciated as far as Jam's messaging was just like we want AI to allow you to be more human. And, people are so afraid it's going to take jobs and all of these other things. And it also can really open you up to, like you said, have that client communication, that client interaction, and just be more human with it.
Yeah, yeah. And you bring up a good point. This is something I was thinking about prior to us getting on here. Is for me, I come from a technical background, and I knew when I saw this, I said, I think this is going to be pretty big. But then I was trying to step back and, that whoever it is, Sally Sue that runs the nail salon or cuts hair, or, Bob's locksmith, they may not be as comfortable on a computer. And so what I've actually done personally is being lazy. I've used AI like, hey, I've got these 5 ingredients, find me 3 recipes. So that's a nice way to dip your toes into the water and get
Totally.
comfortable with it and saying, well, how long do I cook this or however? And even for shopping, find me the 5 best prices on a trip to Costa Rica or something like that.
Well, yeah, it doesn't all have to be just content creation. So, I mean, you have a pretty successful company and a pretty successful team. What inspired you to start your business?
Um, well, actually, so I had a friend and she was and I always forget the term Duda. They're like these people that help when people are near end of life. And
Doula,
she
maybe an end of life doula.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, like I said, I always forget. And she just had some trouble. It was actually on a Wix site. And I had a very strong system administration background, like Unix and all the old high-end servers. He's like, "Can you help me?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And I didn't really even know that much HTML. And with Wix, it's nice to drag and drop, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like with chat. You can get the bulk of your work done, but you need to be able to fine tune it. And so I started doing that. And then she's like, "Well, I need some help marketing this content." And that was, just about, I guess, 11 years ago. And we just kind of went from there. And yeah, I just figured out, man, I love this stuff. And it's kind of exciting because Google's a tough monster to tame. But if you can take someone who's ranked on, the bottom of page 10 and then see them show up on page one and their hours or their inquiries are growing, that's just kind of really neat to do. So that's kind of my motivation and just I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it makes it tangible in a way.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I mean, I know your, especially with AI and everything, your typical workday and like what is typical as a business owner, but your typical workday has evolved. But now that you are implementing AI in your, your workflow, what does a typical workday look like for you now?
Well, I wouldn't say I have a typical work day, but generally there's a few meetings, especially like if we do quite a bit of pay-per-click campaigns, and those are that's faster results than SEO. So a lot of times I may have early morning calls. There's some people on the East Coast, so maybe like 7 my time, just going over what's working, what's not. Do we need to change how we're, approaching this campaign, and then catch up on email. And I do use chat, not so much for that kind of stuff, but what comes out of these is like I'll get content from a writer. I'm like, hey, did you check this? And when I say check it, not for facts, because they do a good job of that, but there'll be just some stuff in there, and I'll just slap it into chat and tell them to clean it up or it to clean it up. And then that devolves into me writing custom GPTs for these guys to use so they can just do that. And then I just get the nice, crisp, clean copy.
I love
So
that.
that's kind of a typical work day, I guess, is calls, emails, and then lead generation and just kind of QA and a lot of client relationship management,
I love that.
reporting.
So what do you think out of everything you've mentioned, what part of your business takes the most time right now and what is really giving you the biggest headache or what feels hard to you right now?
Um, Geez, I don't know that anything feels hard. I mean, that's why I do this. This is fun. This isn't supposed to be a job, but it's not.
I love
What's
that.
hard? I will say, even with chat, doing things and going through iterations and making things better, 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 it can be a bit of a t time vampire. Like time will slip away. So I would say it's not about time management, but more about time awareness.
Okay.
And I live and die by a calendar. So that's the hardest part of my job is keeping an eye on the clock. And so I have to be here at, whatever, 3 p.m. Is just watching the clock because it's really easy for me to get sucked into the details when I shouldn't be there all the time.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, that's really fair. So I have so many questions for you. I'm excited to talk to you right now. But I'm looking ahead a little bit of some of the questions that I shared with you, and I am curious. You've had this company for a while, and it's grown, it's changed, it's evolved, and I imagine that at a certain point in the company, you do get a lot of, referrals and word of mouth. But do you have a clear system of turning leads into sales and what does that process look like for you? And I think it's unique, particularly because of the line of work that you do and you help others, get those leads.
Well, and it's kind of, I have the same conversation actually with clients, and for me, it's the same thing. Referrals is like one of the best places, and by an extension, that really kind of means reviews too. It's a personal review, if you will. So referrals are still the primary sources for leads. And then after that, I mean, it's the usual, LinkedIn, mining. Also use Apollo, which is they actually their extension is Apollo.ai, which is really good for generating, I'll call them cold leads, but it's people that are in market for a particular service. And then, and this is where AI also helped as well, is fine tuning, it's what's called like an email sequence. So you reach out to someone and, if they're not interested, they're not interested. But if they're warm, then you have a predefined sequence that goes out, one email now and another couple weeks later. So I'd say that email is the second behind referrals, and reviews obviously matter as far as lead gen goes.
So you mentioned emails. Do you have an email funnel that you've sent out, or are those, unique emails that you draft? What does that look like?
It's I would say it's a hybrid, but primarily just out of it's because it's easy to do is there's a software service called Active Campaign, and it's a software as a service. You just pay a subscription and you go in and you define your sequence, and then they have data fields. So you just upload 100 names and it automatically send out 100 emails to that data field might be first name and then last name, and it's already constructed to give them the greeting, whatever service you think they might be interested in. So, and then it just spits them out. You don't, it's, just once you've got the sequence set up, you just have to put in names and it just goes off and does its thing.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, sometimes I feel like there's a little bit of this black hole to just all the platforms out there, and we try to stay up to date with them, and I'm always so excited to learn new ones. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Um, what right now is the most exciting thing for you as a business owner and just running your business?
Um, Honestly, it is the AI stuff because in my field in particular, it does change constantly. And you're always trying to stay on top of the latest, what we call an algorithm update from Google. Like, how do we rank? How do we reach customers? How are we recent and relevant to what they're searching for? But AI makes it so much more exciting because it's so challenging. It used to be, how do I get to the top of search results? And that's still true. But now getting to the top of search results involves how do I get included in what's called like an AIO or AI overview. So you have to be dress right dress, have all your ducks in a row as far as your data, and be trusted by Google so that when they extrapolate data from multiple sites for this AI overview, you're part of that. We are moving sometimes, I feel like, towards more and more of a zero-click world. And by that, I mean people find what they're looking for just when they search and they don't click and go to a particular site,
Yeah.
but trying to get your brand name up into that AIO benefits to clients. So that's my biggest challenge, but it's also the most exciting part. It really just, gives you energy in the morning.
Well, and I'm going to go off track a little bit here, but we had a client call the other day with a very large health organization, and they shared something that I hadn't really considered. They said that people aren't going to their site now to go and make these donations, or they're just not being led to their site because basically all of the information is just right in front of them and they don't have to go to a website anymore. So it's interesting to see that play out.
Yeah, that's totally true. And you can break it down into like some big buckets, but two of the different ones would be when you're searching, we use the term types of queries, and one could be transactional, and then another's informational, like, what is a rubber duck, right? That's informational. And then you'll probably just get an AI overview and move on. But then is where do I buy that rubber duck? That's more transactional. And so you're hoping to get into that AI overview, but then you want to get also your pages ranking so that when they go to buy that duck, they find you at the top. So, yeah, there's different types of queries. And yeah, I don't really do a lot with nonprofits or donations, but that is certainly a different kind of a challenge, or very unique to them because that's a tough one.
Yeah, and I'm just curious to see. I mean, I know it'll work out itself out eventually. I'm just curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we have analytics, so we can see like session, and that's probably what he's doing is looking like sessions, the number of users, and how they're getting there. And that's all well and good, but you got to get them there. And if they just stop at the overview, then that's it. You don't have any chance to have any kind of messaging that's particular to them because the AI overview, even if it's pulled from your data, you don't necessarily have any control over how it's presented to the user. So it's strictly factual. It's not, like a features and benefits or anything like that you could do on a page. So that's a huge challenge for anyone. But yeah, I can only imagine for a nonprofit.
Scary one that I guess we didn't really see coming. Or I didn't. Okay, you mentioned time earlier, and I like that you said, it's not really time management. And if you did have an extra 10 hours a week, what would you focus on? And it doesn't have to be in your business, it could be personally, but just you as a human, what would you focus on with 10 extra hours a week?
Shamefully, I'd be riding a motorcycle or playing chess. How's that?
Oh, I love that. Okay. Have you ever read the book of it's called Learn The Art of Learning?
Um, I don't think that I have.
Okay.
Um,
It's written by like one of the world's best chess players, and he basically like makes these parallels between life and playing chess. And anytime I hear someone talk about chess, I think I recommend
I will
listening to
have to
them.
read that. It rings a bell. I will just say this. If you ever played chess, and it is life, right? You've got to calculate all the possible outcomes, and there are consequences for all your actions. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, my husband has a chess table at our house and he plays himself. So he'll move his pieces and with a 2 and a 4-year-old running around the house, we try to keep them away from his board, but he plays himself and I think that's really cute. Um, okay, well, what are your biggest goals in the next 6 to 12 months? And does that mean more chess and more time on your bike or more clients and all the
Um,
above?
Pretty much all of the above. I would say I'm in Colorado, so my motorcycle ambitions are limited to 6 to 9 months a year. Definitely want to get better at chess. I do play in about a tournament a month. But coming back to business, so I think things are going along pretty well. So it's always, how can we help more clients? And then semi-related, but on a personal level, I want to be a thought leader in LLM. It's not enough to know chat, right? There's Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, you
Yeah.
name it. But if you really understand the code behind it, the large language models, I feel that's to just taking it to the next level. And so that is actually a sixth, and chat helped me come up with my goals, my seven milestones that I need to start working on to try to get there. I would say 90% complete by the end of this year.
No, I love that, and I love how strategic you are with this. And obviously not trying to sell anything. I am curious. So, have you played with our Inner Circle platform, where you're
Uh,
able to access all of the different
uh,
LLMs?
no, I haven't actually. I haven't really nosed around too much. I just happened to bump into Jam at the Thrive business summit here a couple weeks ago, and that's how I kind of found her, and I guess that's how you found me. So no, I haven't played with the inner circle, but and not to go way off topic. So that Thrive was put on, and it's kind of I guess a joint effort with the SBA and score.org. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure 100% of your entire audience, but if there's small business owners out there, I do want to give a shout out to score.org. I don't really use a whole lot of them, but they're a really great resource, and they even have things like marketing with chat, financials, things like that. But for the owners out there, aside from AI, I just want to mention score.org in a positive manner.
Oh, I love that, and we love Score, and um, we've actually trained a lot of our resources on Score material. So
Oh,
we agree. We are all big Score fans here. Um,
excellent.
I want to send, I'll send you a follow up to access the inner circle because you are able to play around with just Claude and GPT and I mean there are 5 or 6 options there for you, so you can really play around with them there, and you don't have to pay the monthly membership fee. So that's an option for you if you want to look into that. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I thought that would be up your alley. And okay, I know you're gonna nail this question. No pressure.
Uh-oh.
I know, as soon as they said that. I think of this and I think of you. So, when you hear work smarter, not harder, what does that look like for you in your business currently?
Um, well, that's leveraging the available tools to their maximum effectiveness. How's that for a nice answer? And by that I mean and kind of keeping this focused on the AI thing.
Yeah.
So I can sit around and eventually I'll figure out anything, right? And it whether it's changing a flat tire or doing something in Photoshop to change the background color. I could probably do it in 30 minutes or an hour, just depending, right? Well, let me try this. But you know what? Why waste the time? I mean, we had like Google and YouTube and whatever. Now you just go to chat and say, I need you to tell me in very simple steps, one at a time, till I confirm I've done this step, how to do it. So as far as that, that's how I think I stay on point and get the most out of my time is just doing that. And the beautiful thing about all of these things is no rest for the wicked. I mean, the faster the world goes, we just have to be as fast. That's it.
No, I completely agree. Um, I mean, it's interesting that the business owner that I spoke to last week, he was saying, I didn't want to, but I did start using ChatGPT and then, to go to this week to hear you saying, yeah, I'm excited to become an LLM expert. I mean, that's just a really fun jump, and it's fun to see people really where they are. And, how do you see AI playing an even bigger role in your business over time?
Uh, you know, uh, That's a tough one to answer. I think we're maximizing as much as we can, and I not maximize, but we're getting up there pretty well. That it may reduce headcount slightly. I still personally, no matter what, no matter how good a chatbot gets to be or whoever it is, I also still believe in that one-to-one relationship with an owner or a manager of whatever site or shop or business. So I still think that's going to be that 20% that's still there. But a lot of these things, I wouldn't say it's set it and forget it. But even now, we still need human intervention. I think that that's going to continue to decrease. It's really tough to say that there's going to be a huge impact, much more than it has been, but it just grows every day. And sometimes it's so incremental, you don't realize it till you wake up one day and wow, Chad's doing 90% of the work. Why am I even coming into the office? If Chad could just make the coffee, we'd be all good.
Yeah, I mean, office for that paycheck, right? Okay, well, what does the rest of your week look like? Personally and professionally as a business owner, what does the rest of that week look like for you?
Do you mean this week specifically or at a
Yeah,
high level here?
this week.
Well, let's see. I got to follow up on leads tomorrow. And then I have a meetup at 5:30, and then a couple of webinars and client meetings. And then Friday afternoons, I do try to usually take a break between like 2 to 4 p.m. for just training, just self whatever. I'll just find something to learn.
That's beautiful. I love that. So, okay, so after everything we've talked about, some of your goals and a few of those challenges, what what kind of support do you feel like would be most helpful to you right now?
To me,
Yeah, as a business owner.
um, could I have a clone?
I mean, sure enough, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like business wise, things are under control. I mean, I love the people I work with. I love the clients. So I don't really feel, I mean, I'm in a good spot.
Yeah, you
I
sound like
would
it.
just say this without, at the risk of being edited out. In this current political environment, that is a challenge because some people are nervous about their business. Some people are nervous about their funding. Some people are
Yeah,
nervous about their employees.
totally.
So that is the biggest challenge that I see, not so much me personally, but in interacting with people in the community.
Yeah, that's fair. Empathetic of you to bring note of that. So Richard, before we wrap up, is there anything you wish more people in business talked about but don't?
Um, Not really. I have really good relationships. Like we delve into revenue, hours, bookings, inquiries because I want to know. And I don't know if you mean it's particular to me, but my perspective is that's what I see as a conversion is not always a conversion to them because I know that if I say, "Hey, our campaign got you 100 calls last week," only 20 of them turned into, warm leads or hot leads or things like that. So I don't know that I need to talk to or a business needs to talk about anything in particular with me, except for those kind of things, is that honesty. As far as businesses in general, I wish that more owners were a little more active in the volunteer community. And I don't know if that really is kind of getting outside the realm of your question, but
No, I love that.
um, yeah, I mean, we get isolated, and especially, after COVID, work from home and this and that, and the breakdown of teams. I still like, and it's slang, but we call it sneaker net. And that's just bebopping down the hall to ask somebody a question or running into somebody you don't know and say the cafeteria. So that's the biggest thing. It's just a little more relationship building.
You said volunteer, you said relationship building. I love that. And in a past life, I have two nonprofits, so I'm real big supporter of philanthropy, and I think there's a lot of room for it.
Yeah, and that's while we're on the subject, just real quick. And it's not, I guess at some point there's a high level benefit to me as far as like a little promotion or something, but any business owner that is remotely successful, I feel it's incumbent upon them, just whatever it is, an hour, 2 hours a month, just do something. Go Habitat for Humanity, donate, like for me, I would donate like a free Google Business Profile Optimization, make they could give that to somebody as like an auction, like a silent auction. But
Yeah.
we can all contribute in some way. just to make the world a bit of a better place. I mean, we're kind of fortunate to do what we do. Anybody that runs a small business, I think, no matter what the hours are, it's still fun.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity and a privilege.
Yeah.
Well, Richard, this has been a privilege to chat with you, and even before we started recording, getting to know you and your background a little bit more, and all of our parallels. So, just thank you so much for chatting, and I'm really grateful to have you in our community, and I'm excited to see, I'm really excited to see, just what you share with us and what you learn and what you teach others.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Flora. Thank you for the opportunity and for the time. And I do hope to talk to you again.
Be in touch soon. Thanks so much. Take
All
care.
right. All right.